I grew up like a savage.
It's a cold demonstration going down.
And the other brother that was a witness, I can't recall his name, but they pressured.
Desi Hightower.
Desi Hightower.
Okay.
And he gave his original statement.
I'm gonna tell you what they do, because I remember as a young boy, right? You know, when I grew up in the streets. My mother had a single parent, you know what I mean? And I ain't gonna let my mama cry too many tears, you know what I mean? Before I got into this movement, you know, I had to really see and learn to love black again. Because I'm like 50,000 lions, brother. You know what I mean? But I'm like, my family ain't gonna starve and yours eat, you know? So when you look at that situation, we gotta look back how they put it in the thing. Desi Hightower, he doing his little gig or whatever, you know what I mean? He had a car business or something, boom, salvage cars or whatever he was doing. They went to him and said, yo, we gonna tear down your business. We gonna fuck you up every day. Hit him with a gut shot, because some people play the street joint till they get their hands on it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
That song changes. I had a state trooper kick me in my chest when I was like 14, 15 years old. And I was like, fuck no.
Right.
But some people be like, yo, I don't want no parts of that. So he like, yo, but I was there, I seen they ball it up, hit him with them gut shot. Listen, not only you ain't gonna be able to work here, we fucking around and lock you the fuck up. So what he do? He deserted his business and he left. You see what I'm saying? He signed the joint, because ain't nobody can be in that, listen, you handcuffed to that chick, you will either fly or fold.
Right.
You talk all that talk out here.
Right.
A man by himself gonna be himself. That's rules that my old schools done gave me. You know what I mean? So we don't know, but he folded. But he was like, yo, why they doing all this to this brother? I seen the people run. And when you listen to Arnold Beverly, brother, he said he ran. He said, I had a camouflage jacket on. He said, but I wasn't worried about it because they was on the move. So now he get banged. See, that's how the blood got on his thing. He tells it. He said, I got shot. And it was blood on the joint.
Right.
They don't talk about that because it kills their narrative. Remember their narrative, oh, dad turned around, he straddled the ball, whatever. Nobody do that after they get banged out and there's cops everywhere, man. Come on. So again, I go back to key points. You asked me about my uncle driving, right? That was initial polo. Okay, it was people in the car. Where the co-defendants at, bro? They chase them down here in the town. They gonna chase them down here.
Right.
Let something happen on that corner right there. You ain't got to worry about it. You gonna see it on the news. It was 5 of them. We got 4 of them now, and then they want it. They going door to door, man, like some Nazi shit. White cop get there. Come on, man.
I gotta ask you this.
Go ahead.
Is it because how I looked at the situation is the universe, right? It happened to be Mumia.
Okay.
Right? When this traffic stop is happening. This ain't planned. He sees this shit happening live. So he runs over, protective nature. Let me see what's going on, right? If it wasn't him, if it wasn't Mumia, right? If this was just a black man work at a plant somewhere and he thought the same thoughts Mumia had and run over there, do they pursue this case the same way?
Nah, bro. Because see, you gotta understand, right? And people gotta go back to Powhatan Village. I know they heard about the move bombing, 1985. That was so they could murder John Africa and all that. But I'm gonna tell you another cold demonstration with that too. Cause see, your enemy, we gotta stop shortchanging our knowledge and only thinking for tomorrow or a week there. Put your street smarts. You see what I'm saying? Listen, when you change your concentration, it builds your participation, okay? They put a cold demonstration down, all right? So they like, okay, let's play it out. We're gonna need to do this, do that. So they did the move standoff, John, right? What journalist is gonna question the white racist commissioner at that time about friendly fire? I'm basically saying in a nice way, yo, your peoples killed that dude. I don't know why. He could have been testifying on him on an IED. Come on, man, we know the street smarts.
Which is actually great journalism across any racial lines.
But yes, but it's limited to us.
Right.
See,
right.
the words of Didi and Kamati, right? Of the liberation of Kenya. He said, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, right? I was groomed and trained by my mother and my father. That's why I said, I read books about Khalil Gibran and all that, man. I'm in like 4th grade. My teacher like, oh, who's you like, Maya Angelou? I said, Khalil Gibran, 1500, poet. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm talking about, Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon. My dad said, yeah, you like they call me the big head tribe. Because I'm like, and when I was little, and I'm just going to get back to your point, but my mama, I said, yo, how that light turn on? She said, don't be fucking with that. You hit the switch and the light turn on. I said, yeah. So I see that. Hey, all the way over there, that light turn on over there. How that do? So later, she at work, I get a butter knife. I open that joint, hey mama, it got screw and then it got a wire. God damn it, big head tribe, leave that shit alone.
Yeah.
Because that's how my mind is.
Right.
So I look at my pop joint and break it down. He still call me that to the day, big head tribe. So with our program that we do with the Mumia Freedom Tour, we are reaching one, teaching one, but we are taking the blinders off because we've been hijacked. Our movement been hijacked by all these other people, that's trying to speak for black and brown. We don't need no interpreters, brother.
Not at all.
So one of the things that we do is we utilize, but we also push the Mumia case. Now, the reason why it would have been not pursued by nobody else, because they would have did what they always do. They lock everybody up. I told a lawyer friend, Rachel Wilkenstein, one of the lawyers on the tour with us, right? So I said, I got poor plane time. Everybody going down to the station. They don't care that. Hey, you was driving, you in the back, all y'all going down. And then they tell you in the cell, somebody better pick the joint or y'all all getting booked. They never had nobody running away because that was a play. Because people don't speak about the undercover cops.
Right.
Okay, that's downtown, Center City. No undercover cops. Okay, they don't talk about the cop asking for a paddy wagon. No undercover cops. Come on. Him and my uncle knuckling up. Okay, you get salt, whatever, on a dead officer. Come on, bro. But they get Mumia because it still was in the COINTELPRO. We need to kill that black pride. We need to tear that down because the worst thing ever was black folks unifying. I tell any comrade I got, I said, cowards gonna always group together because they snakes. They gonna think that's the way to go, right? Real people, and when I say real, I'm talking about real ones, comrades, revolutionaries, street official dudes. They gonna unify and they gonna be powerful. That's what they fear. So in this movement, for us to take it back for black and brown, I can't be talking, brother, and I ain't leading the way.
Right, right.
That's why our program, Frame.
Absolutely.
That's what it do. Freedom Frame Up.
I want to ask you, and I want to give a shout out to a brother from around here, from the Bay Area, Oba Tashaka. We had a talk a long time ago about the COINTELPRO, and when you brought that up, it's kind of what my point was.
Okay.
Before that, because my mind works like that, right?
I got you.
But I try to frame it as a journalist for people to understand it, right?
Correct.
It's the matrix, right?
I got you.
So my point was of the coincidence that your uncle is having his incident and your dad running over there, timing. Like, how coincidental was that? Is your uncle in this same place? Does he frequent this same place often at the same time? And if I continue to jack him up, will I eventually run into what I'm looking for to set the entire play up? Okay,
so you saying to just, great question, great point. What you're saying is what action for the reaction. Okay, so now my uncle was always an entrepreneur, and that's my pop baby brother, all right? So in Philly, like anywhere else, like in the town here, you try to get something, you tell them you got a little education. Sometimes you ain't want to hear the white man telling you no bullshit. And you like, okay, I ain't gonna keep doing these interviews. What can I do? So my uncle was very good at like making incense, doing things like that. So he got his vending license, okay? And he had a vending shop set up downtown.
Okay.
So he see these cops, okay? So sometimes they go through a little rep and say, let me see your license and you see your stuff is up to par, this and that, might tear your shit up, whatever, right? So it was him, and it was a partner he had, Freeman, right? Kenneth Freeman, right? So they had these vendors, that was their hustle, but they entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? So the contention and everything came in when him and the cop might have had beef. I don't know.
Right.
But listen, you got to surveillance this area. I set up shop every day. And I'm looking at you saying, I don't work for nobody. You work for Mr. Gilmore, man. So you get your supervisor out here before you do something. So that white and black thing now, listen, boy, I ain't your boy. I don't answer nobody. So that kind of feels him the wrong way, you see? So what they did, and this is just me saying on my street smarts, you got a person that they seen coming out the FBI building. You got an indictment that's sitting down. You got Alfonso Diagano, the third in command, that's actually an arm for the police commissioner. Come on, they got people in the federal building, bro. They can call them, yo, man, one of your peoples ain't right. And they got that thing coming down. See what I'm saying? So now, Giordano testified. Now, he's in with the mob and all that. He testified the suppression hearing. That's where the confessions and all that come out, with that creating that narrative, right? But he don't testify during the trial. Why are you on desk duty? I'm gonna tell you why. 3-4 years later, after my father is convicted, right? Giordano, ironically, they theory, he get locked up for taking money or whatever. But then he testified on 30 police officers. You can look this shit up in Philly, was indicted and convicted by his testimony and other officers. And how he the lead attorney, how he the lead cop on your case. And look, it get colder than that. 15 out of the 30 did the investigation on Mumia case. I mean, come on, bro. We can't keep saying we want a new trial. We need Joshua Shapiro, the governor, to stop playing these games.
Absolutely.
And exonerate Mumia.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, bro.
He can't get a fair shake. It's not.
No, it's not even, we're not even playing that part no more.
What do you think, because I know the judge was a part of this fraternity or this order of police.
FOPs.
Passing down that mentality to new officers. They're getting older and people dying off and they leaving and coming and going, right? As any organization. How do you, and this is just hypothetically,
of course.
What do you think they say about Mumia behind? Because it turns into, because there's been times where cops have turned on cops and people have told the truth and all of this. What is it about Mumia? Is the cover up so deep?
All right, this is what I'm gonna say, right? And this is one of the things that I believe, right? I believe it scratches the surface. I believe that this is just my theory. I believe Faulkner knew more things, like people don't say. He was, okay, what the feds do, right? They recruit certain cops. So he was a photographer, what they don't talk about. So he normally take pictures. His camera got found, but all his film is gone. This the night that happened too. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you, homie. Look, if you got a crew and they tell you somebody ain't right, there's a mole, but you got two moles. You don't know that because the other one, he testified. So he got too close to home. So he gonna do what? He gonna push it on the young bull. He green. And he think he's slick. See what I'm saying? So now, what happened to his photographer stuff? Because he was taking pictures actually of them. Because he working, he thinking that's his backup plan. Just like we do, we call rats, hot niggas, all, they got backup plans. They in the squad, somebody green lighted them.
Yeah.
Okay, that happened in every hood. But what they do, they get that seat on that bus before you, right? You like, man, how you here before me? And you leave before me.
Right.
What's going on? How they know where I was at? He like, no, they know where we at, come on out. This is how that work. It's in every segment, bro. When you doing something crooked, you know what I mean? The only thing keep it tight is y'all all in there. Now you saying we keep them locked in with Mumia. Who control the money, brother? FOP take care of your vacation time, take care of your pension. You put time in, you always looking to retire. I tell you, vulture, listen, you don't want to play ball, you got to find you something else. And all them years you put in, we ain't got nothing for you. We're going to cut you the fuck short. And you ain't got no check, you ain't got nothing. No pension. And you looking like that. Because listen, I said, you're a prostitute. It don't matter how you lay down. You ain't getting no, you can't stand up because you've been a prostitute already.
That's a fact.
So this is how they play that. And they know, but ain't nobody going out pulling them caps because they still in the mindset. Justice in court. Politics is politics. They got a thing called the Mumia rule, bro. And one of the things with the Mumia rule is they create new rules for Mumia. I knew homies in the sabbatical. You know what I mean? And they be like, yo, man, your dad fucked up my case, man. On my homie, you know what I mean? We call them yammies and they go call bodies and all that. And they like, yo, I said, what you talking about? Man, my lawyer had everything lined up. And they was like, Your Honor, it's the same thing like Mumia. We got the Mumia rule. It's nothing. So they deny their petitions.
Wow.
Because they try and get you murked inside. But I said, yo, they say, look, they know me. You know what I mean? So they like, look, nah, his son's solid. He ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? Because I tell him, my father is not a criminal. He was literally a journalist. He went to college and all that with my mom and all of that. He just thought he could help our people and change.
Right.
You see it in his commentaries. Let me ask you something. How many times you ever see him talk about his case?
Hardly ever. I don't know. I can't recall.
Of course.
A time.
Because he's thinking about his people. He's selfless. He don't even think about himself, huh?
Yeah.
He all the way in South Africa. He all the way over here in Oakland. He all the way in the Bay Area. He talking about Emory Douglas. You know what I'm saying? The Black Panther Party, Minister of Culture. You know, a revolutionary artist, the original. Because he's selfless. I'm here. We speaking on Mumia Freedom Tour. Freedom from Frame Up Foundation, our organization. Selfless. We ain't gotta come out here, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it ain't about me. And it ain't always about my dad. It's about the black and brown and the system. They gotta be called accountable, man. And I can use my dad case as a blueprint. What about all the brothers in there that's voiceless?
I was gonna ask you that, especially before we wrap. Because I love the youth. And I feel like the youth always continues to fuel every movement, right? And so every year, I always look at it like the college cycle. Around the time kids go to college, like when they discover new groups and bands or old music. Same thing with Mumia. It's shame on their parents if they never taught them about Mumia.
Correct.
But if they haven't heard, then they somehow around that adult age, they start learning things, right? What is a case similar, nothing's the same, but similar to Mumia's that's more of something that a 30-year-old would be familiar with, 30 or younger would be familiar with, that's similar to Mumia's case? And I'm just trying to make the correlation between the two so that kids will be intrigued. Not even kids, I don't want to say kids, young adults or young revolutionaries.
But let me say this. Great question. One of the things I look at with Mumia's case is his case is faceless to the things. Because first of all, economically, people don't know he had a public defender. You know what I mean? Because mom, she can't afford that.
Right.
They didn't took out that other thing, a payment.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she like, look, I'm stuck here. I got to move this.
And real quick, I'm gonna let you continue, but I want to say this because this is a point too. When I brought up the $1,000 of what the lawyer said he had in resources, in today's money, that's $3,000.
Correct.
So imagine you trying to fight a homicide on a
capital
cop
case.
A capital case on a cop.
In
with
5
$3,000.
months.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off, but
Right.
I want to make those points. Because young cats need to know, like, imagine that.
Yeah.
And a lot of these dudes is in that position.
Correct.
Yeah.
And see, what I'm going to say to that is, right, like you had up here, the Fruitvale thing with the Oscar Grant thing. You see what I'm saying? We always say police officers need change and they need this and that. Nah, we got to stop supporting this craziness. And one of the craziness that we do is we turn blind eyes to shit. You see what I'm saying? Because I tell people, criminal, what are you talking about? Convicted felon, what are you talking about? They come from another planet? Where they at? They come from my family, your family. So when people is caught up in them, we see Mumia every day. You know, we got people, young people, they ain't got no resources, nothing. And they con our peoples with the slave mentality. One of the slave mentalities was they get the biggest slave and they take him and they put him to 4 horses and split his body apart in front of everybody, right? What you think the mama gonna tell her son when he buck up? Calm down, boy. Same thing when he go to court. You got a Billy Lloyd, he gonna say, yo, listen to your mama, I'm talking to your mama. Why they talking to my mama? My mama don't know about this law.
Right.
And your mama go talk to you. Go plea out. He said you're gonna be out and this and that. We don't know about the privatization. We don't know about the monetization. We don't know about the private prison. We don't know how they changed our music. They took their soul out of the music. Because it used to be, we didn't even have to hear the lyrics, homie. We hear the beat. Mm-hmm. And we was like, oh yeah, this is my thing here. It's Public Enemy, man. This thing here.
Right.
Now you hear the beat, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now to answer your question, there's Mumia in every state. West Coast, East Coast, down south. I can't pick just one. Because there's somebody right now while we talking, bro, is getting pulled over for something simple, like a traffic ticket. And they wake up, bro, they got 30 years. And this is what happens. But in the economical joint, they had a case a while back where a young white boy ran over some people, did homicide by vehicle. They said his parents never disciplined him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they said his parents never disciplined him, right? So they said there's no way he can know what any type of punishment is. Mm-hmm. The judge gave him probation, bro. What kind of stuff is that, bro? How many juveniles and youths we got in there that never been disciplined? They just was mad in their condition because we put in a condition. But we here to let them know you're not alone. We leaving grassroots movements, brother. We ain't coming through like no music tour.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
We locked in with the libraries and all that. That's like right now, we're going to be at the East Side Art Alliance, you know, in the town. And then we're going to be on 88th Avenue in the town, Elmhurst District Library. On Wednesday, you know, and we're going out Santa Rosa, you know, college. And then we're going to be at the San Francisco, you know, we're going to be at the African American Art and Complex, Culture Complex in the city, right? Thursday. You know, we asking y'all to come on out. Y'all can follow us on Instagram at Mumia Freedom Tour. You know, we got links in there. We got merch in there. If y'all want to donate, y'all can donate. We a 501c3 company. Look us up. I'm going to leave this with you. This is part of our initiative.
And then I also clip that last part and make sure I put that out first so everybody can get to that. And I'll put the link.
Yeah, because you told me the time thing, but I'm just saying we want to let people know. And you can also go to Linktree/Freedom from Frame Up. Do not send your money to no other site just because it got a Mumia picture on it or it got a Black Panther on it. I'm telling you where to go. Instagram, you know, Mumia Freedom Tour. And just because it say Freedom Tour, we got a lot of scandalous stuff going on. A lot of jokers is hijacking. They're going to be dealt with, and y'all going to be seeing them because we're going to get your email and we're going to put it out there. You know what I mean? But one of the things that people could do is follow us, see what we doing. We're going to be out here all week, and we appreciate you for having us, brother.
Man, thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
It's always, man, this is real.
This is for me, you know, this is what I could do, and we should all be all hands on deck. This is my contribution. I've been knowing about Mumia since I was young.
Okay,
and, you know, and for me, it was self-taught. You know, I'm from
the
same neighborhood as JR, man, and so we come from this, you know what I'm saying? And that was my minister of information. You know what I'm saying? So this is a beautiful thing, and I didn't get to give you the disclaimer early on, but I'll tell you now. The disclaimer is why this podcast is called No Vultures is because we don't believe in culture vultures. So we don't want nobody coming in on our culture, taking what we have and exploiting it. So exactly what you were saying, the unauthentic things, the unofficial sites, when you see Mumia, those are the vultures. That's what we stand away from.
Correct.
So, and we want to stay away from that. So that's where we at.
Well, that's why, in support of what you're saying, brother, we always had people putting posters on my dad and all that shit. This is why we created this here. This is for y'all, right?
Okay.
This is for the back-to-back with Mumia. You know, that's our Freedom Tour buttons, and that's our organization, Freedom from Frame Up.
Okay.
And you can get this to your peoples.
Okay, I will.
Because we put Mumia with somebody because he's back-to-back with the community. And that way they can't pilfer off of him because they got all his pictures because they cropping out here and putting it up there and shaking our peoples down but leaving them nothing. You know, we ain't going for that. We ain't affiliated with all that crazy stuff. This is straight from my family, Mumia's family. You know, my name is Jamal Ibn Mumia. means son of Mumia. My father's name is Mumia Abu Jamal. His is Mumia, father of Jamal. So when I was born, he changed his name. I'm his eldest with that. So my son, he traveled through some of this, that's our junior. You know what I mean? But see, what happens is, these people got to know we ain't playing no games, all right? We got to get my father out.
I'm just trying to stay racked up like you.
Put an 8 in a 1 and do magic. Tryna stretch hair on like elastic. Eco-friendly drug dealer, I don't waste no plastic. Use all 4 corners of that baggie. All I ever wanted was a bankroll. So I pull up on Champ before the bank close. Say no to stank hoes and stank clothes. No paramedic pimpin', nigga, we don't save hoes. Yeah, rest in peace to Lil